And I'm not going to say that because it's a spoiler, kind of. My cats are trying to get into my water. They make a bet that how do I say this? I'm getting tired. I think I'm going to sneeze. Nope. Maybe. No. Well, yeah. No. Hold on. I'm like seeing something, but I can't get it, like a fuzzy or something. I honestly don't know how to explain this. Actually, I need to stop saying I'm really excited. Kind of starts losing its meaning. So, I really did get some stuff on this book. It's disgusting. Hello. It is time to talk about all the books I read in April. And I'm so excited because it's so many, you guys. I went to my Goodreads to see which books I read so I can pull them off my shelf. And I smiled when I saw that there were 6. And they're like big books. Like, all of them are like epic. Except for like maybe 1 or 2. Whatever. Let's get into it. I'm going to go in the order that I read them. So, first up was The Glass Hotel by Emily St. John Mandel. It's so pretty. I love it. So, I think I talked about this, and this was like on my April reading list, so I did talk about it in my April reading list video. But my favorite book in the world, besides like, you know, Harry Potter, Narnia, Lord of the Rings, like all those. Every time I say something about a favorite book, it's just like not including those because they're like the epics of our time. Station 11 by Emily St. John Mandel is my favorite book, like ever. It's wonderful. And this was her newest release. This is her 5th book now, I believe. Probably my second favorite of all her books, honestly. I absolutely loved it. It's about so much really. But it follows the story of this Ponzi scheme in New York City and the collapse of it and like all the people that are affected by it and how they're affected. It starts out in Canada, where I believe the author's from, because all her books are like have a spot in Canada. But starts out in Canada, moves to New York City. It covers like all these different places that you just never think of, like a campground for the homeless, underground like tech club, dance clubs. I know nothing about Ponzi schemes. It also covers like the world of shipping and like overseas shipping. There are some like Easter eggs to Station 11 in here. There's a character from Station 11 in here, which is so fun, and it's so minuscule that if you haven't like recently read Station 11 or like read it multiple times or whatever, you'll miss it. But yeah, there's just I loved it. I gave it 5 stars. It'll be one that I read again someday. I'll probably read all her books again someday, but absolutely loved it. 5 stars. You need to read it. And next up, I read The Bear and the Nightingale by Katherine Arden. I loved this. Everyone loves this book. I mean, it's incredible. It is based on Russian folklore, and it's just unlike any Russian folklore I've read before. It's like Russian folklore mixed with like epic fantasy in a way, because the story just like branches out and goes to lots of different places, or sets us up for the other books to go in all these separate places. I don't know. It's just awesome. I didn't show you the pretty cover. I think I showed it to you like 10 times on here. So pretty. And like the gold foil is like ombre, which is pretty awesome. Along with this book comes an announcement. I started a podcast. I had been thinking about it for, I don't know, 5 or 6 months. This idea of reading a book with someone from the book community, whether it's a bookish shop, a bookstagrammer, a booktuber, whatever, we buddy read a book and then get on and talk about it on a podcast. So the first book we did for the podcast was this beauty. And my guest was Gabrielle from Turkish Candle Company. Sorry, there's people outside. And they just got like ice cream or something and it kind of looks good. What is it? So her and I got together and talked about The Bear and the Nightingale. And we didn't get together because of Corona. We FaceTimed and used fancy mics. But the first episode is up right now. I'm going to link it down below. It's on Spotify. It's on Google Podcasts. It's basically on everything except Apple because I haven't figured out how to do that yet. So give it a listen. We talk about, there's spoilers in like the second half of the podcast. So if you haven't read this yet, you can still listen to it a little bit and then we warn you when the spoilers are coming. But I highly recommend it. Gabby and I are going to keep going through the series. So read the series along with us. If you have already read it, be prepared because we have more episodes coming out on the Winter Night Trilogy. 5 stars. Okay, next up is a little bit of a different kind of read for me. All these, about 4 out of 6 of these are like fantasy or, okay, yeah, they're fantasy. Some epic, some whimsical, whatever. I have 2 books that are not that. So, newish kind of read for me. I read Beach Read by Emily Henry. This is an adult romance. Just a warning for those who don't like this kind of thing. It does get a little bit steamy. A little bit. So if that's something that like makes you uncomfortable, it's an incredible book. But if that makes you uncomfortable, you might not enjoy it. I joined Book of the Month. I'm very late to the party. I got my first book for $5. I don't know if that was like a special or not, but if you would like to sign up for Book of the Month, go to the link in my bio. Oh goodness, my cats. And you can sign up. You get your first book for $5 maybe. Some people say they get the first one for $10. I don't know. Try it. $5. $5. I didn't show you it. But I love Emily Henry. One of my favorite books is The Love That Split the World. It's a young adult, like, magical realism, which is funny because I don't like magical realism, but there's just something about that book. Just like all the symbolism and everything. It meant a lot to me when I read it years and years and years ago. But this is about 2 writers who are in these like beach houses in like on Lake Michigan or something like that. I think it's in Michigan. I can't remember what lake it's on. I don't know. They're there for the summer. They both are having like writer's block. And they're like next door neighbors. They end up running into each other. They know each other from the past, but they make a bet that they can write the other person's genre and sell that book first. So he's gonna write a romance book, like a rom-com type thing, and she's gonna write this like serious, like literary fiction, like in her books, everyone has a happily ever after. In his books, everyone dies. That's kind of like the difference in their book genres that they write. So it's really fun to like see how they each write it and how they interpret it. And of course, it's a love story and it's the cutest. I giggled. I smiled the whole way through. It just was such a fun. It's mostly lighthearted book. There's like there's some heavy things in it that the characters are going through, but it was just delightful. This is a delightful book, and I was supposed to be on a cruise while I was reading it, so this was like my book for my like beachy book, even though it was like on a lake in Michigan. 5 stars as well. I had a great reading month. All right, next up is the book that my book club read for the month of April. We read Behind Her Eyes by Sarah Pinbrough. One of the main characters, Louise, meets this man in a bar and they hit it off and they kiss and she's like, oh my goodness, I finally found a guy who doesn't suck. And then she goes into work the next day and it's her new boss who is married. So that's kind of like all you know at the beginning. You also know that there's something weird between the man and his wife, Adele. Like, he seems really controlling and like she's afraid of him, and there's like something more there that you're not really sure about. And like Louise, the main character, gets really like wrapped up in the whole story of their marriage. This book, you will not be able to guess the ending. I don't care what you say. You're not going to be able to guess it. It was the wildest ending of all time. Some people apparently think it's just like completely out of left field and like, I don't know. No, it makes sense. It doesn't, but it does. And the clues are there the whole time. So I just want to say that. If you ever see any reviews like that, no. It's incredible. I hear it's going to be a Netflix show, which is going to be insane. And I don't know if I want to see it on the screen. Gonna watch it. I don't want to say much more about it because I want you to be surprised if you read it. I got to the end and I felt maybe a little bit nauseous, but also I couldn't stop smiling. It's the wildest ending, disturbing, and I was just like, smiling. And Marco Polo'd my friend who also had finished it. I started the Marco Polo and I couldn't talk. I was embarrassed that I was smiling because it's such, oh my word, okay. And then I just like got in the shower and I was like dead inside, but also completely thrilled. So if you like thrillers with crazy endings, read it. Like you think that you realize what's happening, but you don't. You just don't. Read it and then talk to me about it, please. I think I gave it 4 stars. It's not my like normal read, but I was entertained the whole time. Read it. And next, I read The Kingdom of Copper by S.A. Chakraborty. Okay, I'm just raving about all these books. I'm so sorry, but they were so good. This is the second book in the Daevabad trilogy. The third one comes out June 30th, so I'm so excited. And I honestly, guys, I love these books so much. I think I might reread them before the next book comes out because I'm just like obsessed. I'm obsessed with them. But this is the second book, so I can't really tell you all that much about it. But the Daevabad trilogy is a fantasy series set in the Middle East, in Egypt, and then like kind of the surrounding lands. There's like some mythical lands and stuff, you know. It is based around the world of the jinn, which we would call like genies. They're very different than like Blue Aladdin genie. This book gets really into like the political side of the mythical world called Daevabad. And gets into the political side of Daevabad's like courts and stuff, which I don't normally like. I usually can't follow what's happening, but I did not want to put this book down. I got to the end and I was like devastated that it was over. And the next day I was like, I can't wait to get reading again. And I remembered that I had finished it already and I was so sad. Normally I'm like ready to be done with the book because I'm excited to move on to the next one. I just did not want this to end. I cannot wait for the Empire of Gold. It's going to be incredible. The story takes like a crazy turn at the end and you're just like, what now? Highly recommend the Daevabad trilogy. It's just the best. So read it. 5 stars. 5 stars. 5 stars. 5 stars. And lastly, I finished this last night. I was determined to finish this book so I could have it in my April book count. I read The Starless Sea by Erin Morgenstern. Here is it up close. It's kind of dirty. I got something on it. I don't know what it was. Oh, let me show the inside. Let me just show it to you. Look at that. So pretty. The Starless Sea is about this underground society based around a library, this like epic library, endless tunnels of books and worlds and stories, and it's just crazy. Some people want, this is what it says in the little synopsis, some people want the world, this like underground society, they want it destroyed. Other people want to save it. It's very, this is very, very intricate. Erin Morgenstern wrote The Night Circus, which came out like forever ago, and I bet you she's been working on this book ever since, because just the way all the pieces of the story fit together, it's just like, how did you even think about that? I actually don't want to say too much about this right now. My second podcast episode is on this, and I read, my buddy read this with Nyara from Paperback Stout. She's on Bookstagram and BookTube. I'll link her stuff down below. But we are going to be recording a podcast tomorrow on this, and I'm afraid that if I say everything I want to say, that I'm not going to say it there. This book was just, it's a masterpiece, honestly. It was a little bit sluggish at times. I think it's just because, I bet if I went back and read it, I wouldn't think it was sluggish, because I could see the way all the pieces would come together in the end, and I'd be just like really impressed the whole time. I gave it 4 stars, probably 4.5. I mean, if it wasn't so hard for me to get through at times, I mean, I had come from reading this, so this was like thrilling, nonstop, crazy stuff happening, and then this was like swimming through honey. If you read the book, you'll get my reference. And you can see all my sticky notes from all the things I want to talk about in the podcast. See, everything happens at the end. I'm like, what? So, yeah, I'm excited to talk about this tomorrow with Nyara, and then for you guys to hear it in a few weeks. Oh, it's heavy this time, you guys. Oh, so it's so heavy. Here are all the books that I read in the month of April. This was epic. I'm so proud. I hope May is as good. I've rediscovered Minecraft, so the end of my reading month was a little bit lesser than before. But I'm really excited. I'm honestly stoked to be picking out what I'm going to read. I don't know yet. That's like my favorite part of reading right now, is like kind of loosely planning what I'm going to read, and I have stories to look forward to. I did read almost all the books in my April reading list. I did not finish The Queen of Atolia yet. I'm a little over halfway through it. I think 62% or something that Goodreads said. I've been listening to it. But I read 3 out of 4 that were on my April reading list, and then 3 that weren't. So I'm excited. So yeah, here's my satisfying stack of books. Let me know what you read in the month of April. What should I read in the month of May? Some of these books behind me I haven't read yet, so I'm going to be going through them, looking at them. I have 2 books I have to read for the podcast for my June episodes, so I'm really excited about that. You guys are going to be so excited about who I have coming on this month. I'll be continuing the Winter Night trilogy with Gabby, and a special guest for a new standalone novel. Thanks for watching, y'all.